One of my very favorite stories, one that I often like to begin retreats and days of reflection, is about a group of nomads. And you know, nomads are a group of people that really don't have a home. They travel from place to place, taking with them all of their belongings, and they travel together. Well, one morning, this group of nomads woke up, and all of them, every single one of them, had the exact same dream. It was a strange dream, but one that they sure had some important meaning. Each of them dreamt that a voice from heaven came to them, God's voice, and said to them, as you travel this day, take with you stones and pebbles and rocks, gather them up and put them in your sack, and carry them the whole day till you come to camp. And camp out that night, and in the morning, you will be happy and you will be sad. Well, how strange that each of them would wake up with that same dream, but they did, and they started talking about it. No one understood it, but they all agreed that since they all had the exact same dream, that it was a dream of importance and significance, and they should listen to it. So as they traveled from this camp to their next camp, they did gather stones. Some of them grumbled as they gathered a few stones. Some of them were angry. Some of them were confused. They didn't know exactly what to make of this dream. And some of them didn't even want to bother gathering any stones at all. They were so confused. They didn't even want to bother. But they were troubled by this and wondered what it meant. So they traveled down the river to a campsite, and they made camp that night. And they all went to bed. And in the morning, when they woke up, they opened their sack, and they had discovered that those stones and rocks and pebbles that they had gathered and carried all day became diamonds. Those things that they saw as burdensome, those things that they didn't quite understand, transformed from rocks and stones and things that were very heavy to beautiful, precious diamonds. I tell that story, and I like to begin retreats that way, because I think so often we see things in our life as a burden. We see things as things that weigh us down, or we're confused by something we're supposed to do, or we think we ought to do. We might not understand it. We might grumble. I know I'm guilty of that, just like everyone else. But sometimes, and especially when we look back, those things that seem to weigh us down, those things that seem burdensome, often are those treasures in our lives, those things that we can see as diamonds. I think about when my kids were young, and we've had busy days and work and play and all sorts of things, and it came to almost bedtime, and it was bath time. And they loved to play in the bathtub, and I was so tired. I kept thinking, why is this taking so long? It felt as though it was a stone, a burden to me. Well, looking back, how precious that time was. It truly was a diamond in my life. I think about my dad and the chemo that he went through, and having to sit with him for hours on end while he received treatment, and I kept thinking, what a burden, what a heavy stone that was to carry for him and for me. And yet, looking back, that time together was precious. That time together was a diamond. I think about different times in my own life where I was confused or anxious about the next phase or waiting for something, so hurried to get to the next place or next event. And sometimes those little stops or those little things along the way that I thought were burdensome became diamonds. I think for us in this time, with social distancing and mask wearing and all kinds of things, and all the grumbling that I do about it, there have been some diamonds. There have been some good family time, more dinners at home. It certainly has slowed us all down. And maybe it's caused us to think a little bit about what's really important in our lives. So I tell that story and I offer it as a challenge for all of us. That those things in our lives that seem to be uncertain, confusing, sometimes difficult and burdensome, can really be diamonds in our lives. can really be treasures. It's important to trust and to look for the good. And so until next time, happy gathering, and may you find all of those treasures and all of the diamonds as you travel today and every day. God bless.